From sunny Southern California, this is the Executive Housekeeper 101 from housekeepingrehab.com. Here now is your Executive Housekeeper, Abel Josephson.
All right, welcome back to the Executive Housekeeper 101. This is perfect for brand new executive housekeepers also who haven't quite got a handle on their department. They feel like the department runs them and they don't run the department, especially this edition of the Executive Housekeeper 101. I'm going to talk about hostage crisis in your department when you are being held hostage by the staff in the department. What is a hostage crisis? Let me read it to you just to make sure I get it right. A person seized or held as security for fulfillment of a condition. A person seized or held, have you ever felt seized or held? A person seized or held as security for fulfillment of a condition. What is fulfillment of a condition? We keep doing things like this and we make sure you know you can't do anything about it. And if you do, the problem is going to be with you. You'll have a big problem. That's a hostage crisis. I don't tolerate it in my departments. What is a hostage crisis? Let me give you some examples. We will only do this. We won't do that. You'll have to get somebody else to do that. You can't ask us to do this or that. That's within the parameters of the job. And I'll tell you a story here in a minute about some housekeepers that didn't want to put robes in the room. They were telling me, we'll do this, but we won't do that. These are employees. Yeah, shocking. Recently, I received a letter from someone who said, I was inspired by your video to do deep cleans in rooms. And then when I went in to do deep cleans in rooms, the housekeepers would say, well, unless you come and strip our beds and take out our trash and do this and that for us, we can't finish. Oh, we won't be able to finish. You won't get your rooms by check-in. That's a hostage crisis. Big time. First of all, my question would be, why are you a supervisor doing the deep cleaning? Cleaners, employees, guest room attendants, housemen, they do the cleaning, they do the work. Your job is to inspect that work. My job as an executive housekeeper is to inspect the work also. But more than anything, as the executive housekeeper, my main job is to maintain quality control. I'm in so many more rooms than a supervisor every day because I'm going in to see what the commonalities are, what the common, the common problems that we're having in many rooms, so I can fix one problem and fix it in many rooms. I'm quality control, they are inspection. I help with inspection, it's part of the deal, but you get what I'm saying. When your employees tell a supervisor, we won't finish our work that we're paid to do unless this person works for us. Hostage crisis. How did we get into a hostage crisis? Well, we ran low on staff enough times that we learn, don't bother the staff, just run low on staff and don't go follow up and correct anybody because they'll get mad and leave. The fear of losing staff is the #1 cause of a hostage crisis. The fear of not finishing rooms by 3 or 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock in the afternoon is the cause of a hostage crisis. So I'm gonna give you some understanding of how to solve your hostage crisis. I'm gonna give you some understanding as to how to have a foundation within you so hostage crises don't begin. And I'm going to give you a little story here to begin with about the greatest hostage crisis that I have ever faced. And it went exactly the way you don't want it to go. But I'm going to show you that in facing the hostage crisis and standing up to it, it destroyed my department in one day. And within 2 weeks, I had a brand new department and I had full support from my general manager and from the corporate office. Let me tell that little story first. I think you'll relate to it. Let me tell you a little hostage crisis bedtime story. And I will tell you that we lived happily ever after at the end of this story when we lived it out. I came into this department. I was transferred from a luxurious downtown business property in downtown of a major city to one of their 5-star golf resorts. I had a property there that was out of control. Did they tell me about it? No, they didn't tell me about it. They never tell you they have a hostage crisis. They want you to come in and not be afraid. They don't, listen, when I find out you got a hostage crisis and it's gone on for 5, 6 years and you can't do anything about it, I don't want to go into your department. Why? I'm not going to have your support. Why? You won't even stand up for it. You want me to stand up for it? Lord have mercy. I'll have to stand up to the managers above me and the managers around me who won't want me to stand up to the hostage crisis. Why? Because if I stand up to it, they'll have to stand up to it. And they don't want to. Why? It's easier to put up with the stuff and not fall short-staffed, and usually short-staffing is the biggest problem with hostage crisis. So anyway, let me get into all of it. I came into this department, they would not follow safety standards. They came and left and held a schedule program according to their comfort and convenience, leaving my department short people all the time, which causes problems because if you won't stand up to this and do something about it, the other employees get mad at you because they have to do 25%, 30, 40, sometimes 50% more work. The burden is put on them, not you. And even though they do this to their fellow employees, they get mad when it's done to them. It's a big old mess. Call 911, hostage crisis in progress. This hotel wanted to transfer me after success, transfer me to a 5-star golf resort that they had because they had problems. They had a lot of problems that I had overcome at this downtown luxury business hotel. So when I came there, I had a hostage crisis that they didn't tell me about. They didn't tell me there was a hostage crisis. Why? Because this property had operated like this for so long and they'd had so many managers and things were so out of control, it's just how it was at that property. And when I got there, I would tell people to do stuff and it wouldn't get done. And I noticed. And when I went to correct things, to write people up or document conversations with people, I would get all the people would go crazy and run to human resources and cry, oh, they're being done wrong. I required that housekeepers finish the room. Supervisors would inspect the room. I would go into rooms and maintain quality control across the board to make sure all of our product was the same in every room. I wanted the housekeepers to finish the rooms and get ready for inspection. One of the things that they refused to do was put stuff in that needed to be in the room. And there was a couple of things, but I'm just going to talk about this one thing. Oh no, supervisors don't take their time in turning rooms to get them ready for front desk because that'll put them behind. You know, if they're going in and putting stuff in rooms, it slows down making rooms ready. So I couldn't have that. I can't be 4:30 and rooms aren't ready for check-in. Something wrong with that. When vacant clean rooms are priority during the day. So I told them, you have to put the robe in the room. And they said, we're not going to do that. We're not putting robes in rooms. We're not going to do that. That's the supervisor. They're going to obey us and we're not going to obey you. I said, well, that's not the case. So I am on my Sunday day off. I don't know why I was off on Sunday. I'm usually there Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, the busiest days, but I was off. I get a call, a supervisor. Oh, Mr. Abel, you've got to come to the property because all the staff is here that works today and they're not happy because they're saying they're not going to put the robes in the room. They want $1 more an hour to do it. So I went down there and guess who was there already in the room? Director of Human Resources, Director of Human Resources Assistant. And I'm brought in the last one with this huge mob waiting for me. And they said, you want us to put these robes in the room? I don't know why the Human Resources Director put up with this, but because it's easier to keep staff that way. Well, we don't have a good situation when staff comes and goes when they want and does what they want, how they want to do it. That's a living hell, that's chaos. I refuse. I opened up the door and I heard myself say to everybody in the room, including HR Director, I'm not afraid of these people. You hired me to manage, I'm managing right in front of you, Human Resources Manager. Pay attention how I do this. You will put the rooms into completion and they will be inspected by the supervisors. And you will put robes in the rooms. The supervisor will not do this for you. And if this doesn't satisfy you, let me remind you, that you said when you came here, I will do the work you have for me to do if you will pay me. And that situation has never changed. It has not turned into an agreement that says, if you do it how I want to do it, then I will do it. And I will manage the department as an employee. No, that never changed. We have work. If you want it, we'll pay you to do it. You do what we ask you to do. We manage you. It's not the other way around. And I said, if you do not want to do this, if you do not want to put robes in the room, you can leave. And I opened up the door, and I don't know, 18 people standing in that room, walked right out the door. Almost the entire staff. A couple of laundry ladies said, I don't want any part of this. I want my job. And they all walked. Every one of them. Every last one of them. I was standing there with the HR director and the assistant HR director looking at each other. And I said, well, there you have it. Problem solved. And they were like, oh God, this is gonna be bad. Within an hour, do you know what I saw? Sales ladies from the sales department coming up the golf cart path, carrying towels and sheets, pushing carts of dirty linen. I saw other managers come into housekeeping. What can I do? I need you in the laundry. I need you to just go and take all the dirty linen off the beds. I need you to go and I need you to do this and that. I started directing them. I never went into the rooms myself. Where did these people come from? General manager, praise God for general manager, who said, we have an emergency, all hands on deck. That went on for a couple of days. The second day, that was a Sunday, so the next day, on Monday, I called 2 temporary agencies. And I told them both, I need 15 people, because I needed more people in a room because they didn't have time management skills. We're gonna do good to put heads in beds. We're gonna get beds made. We're gonna get things wiped down. We're gonna vacuum the carpet. We're gonna do our best to turn the house. 2 days it was like that with other management and that sort of thing, helping in the department. I was terrified. Oh God, I was terrified. And guess what? I got a call from the general manager. Come to my office. I want to see you right now. And I thought, oh, that's it. You better get out your contacts list. You better call your buddies in the industry. You better find a backup because you're about to be terminated as the executive housekeeper at this resort. Oh God. I'll never forget that long, dreary, mournful walk to the general manager's office that day. I knew I was done. I think I'd already loosened my tie and taken my sport coat off and put it in the car because I was gonna be walked off by security. It didn't happen like that at all. It sure did not. Wait till you hear what the general manager said. So the general manager calls me in. I sat there, I was terrified. I've screwed the pooch, I thought, right? She said, how you doing? This is a brilliant woman. Diane was her name, I'll never forget. I said, Diane, I'm so sorry. This is such a big problem, and I didn't think they'd walk. Trust me, people holding you hostage, they're pretty damn serious about the hostage crisis. She said, don't worry about it. I said, well, you say that, but I could have handled it different. She said, don't worry about it. She goes, I told the director of housekeeping before you to fix this problem, I don't know, 4 or 5 times, and they would never do it. But you did it. And she thanked me. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We're behind you. We support you. We have a product to produce. And those people that walked off their job were in the way of that product. She said, I've never seen anybody with the fortitude that you have. Whatever you need from me, you tell me, you're gonna get it. And within 2 weeks, I was fully staffed. Why? I brought in all of these housekeepers from temp services. I just need to get heads in beds. Man, we did everything we could. I started picking out which ones were the best and which ones wanted to work for me, and I hired them. And what happened after 2 weeks? Who came coming back to the hotel? Oh, with their little hat in their hands. Oh, I'm so sorry, but I was intimidated by the other ladies and the gentlemen in the department. And okay, is it okay if I come back? I'm sorry, I didn't have a choice. I was very nervous, and they walked out. I said, no, you're done. Don't ever come back here again. I respect the fact that they've got rent to pay and babies to feed. At the same time, we're not here to play games. We're here to produce a 5-star product. How does hostage crisis begin? We forget what the agreement is between employer and employee. We forget all about that, and that slowly gets morphed into other things. That's one reason for a hostage crisis. Here's another one. People don't show up for work, and we don't do anything about it. People go, oh, I gotta leave at 2 o'clock today. I can't finish, sorry, but I have to go. And we're stuck with 4 rooms, 5 rooms that we don't have staff to cover. And then we don't do anything about it because we're afraid they won't come back and we'll be even further short. Most hostage crisis centers around staffing levels. Here's another one. The Director of Human Resources has the obligation to maintain staff because the people above the Director of Human Resources say you can't have more than 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10% loss in your department. If we're losing employees right and left, well, that means that the Director of Human Resources is not accommodating, is not empathizing or sympathizing or caring for them. So they're getting mad and leaving. So Human Resources has their own drive to keep people, even if they're a problem, a trouble, and a troublemaker. You will have put up with employees for months. And finally, when it comes down to termination and they start crying in the office in front of the Human Resources Director, the Human Resources Director in front of you, who's put up with all this and has finally got them to a place of termination in front of you and the employee at the same time takes that employee's position and mollycoddles it. Takes care of it. Oh, well, okay, let's just get a new start with you. And oh my God, they have no idea. Human Resources has no idea the bullshit you put up with. And when you finally get them to a point where you can move them on to another career or property or just move them out, then they prevent it. And what's that do? It just reestablishes, refortifies, re-strengthens the resolve of other employees that nothing's going to happen. And that's part of the problem. Hotels have problems with their product and quality because they have staffing level problems, they have inconsistencies, they don't look after their standard operating procedures, and they get into a hostage crisis. And then they don't want to start. They're afraid to start over. They're afraid to go, wait just a minute. This is not going to do. We're going back to the rules and we're going to obey the rules, all of us. Listen, you're the executive housekeeper. You got rules to obey. You're an employee just like everybody else. And they don't let you as a department manager come and go, call off, miss 3 days a month, be late 15 minutes, 20 minutes, sometimes an hour, once a week. They don't allow that. So as an employee, I look at it and go, that's not fair. If I'm held to the standard, there's no problem me holding them to the standard. The other problem is that you have a hostage crisis in a department. It's going on for years sometimes. And so then they get a new executive housekeeper, and that's you. You come on board as the new executive housekeeper. And when you start going, hey, we're gonna fix this, we're gonna fix this, then it's you against the world. And they let you be. Your general manager, your director of human resources will let you be against the world. If you're willing to take that on, fine. Well, that's not gonna help you. That's not gonna help you at all because it takes a whole team to end a hostage crisis. All right, so you get what a hostage crisis is. You have a situation where you can't get the reins on things and get in control of things. So to overcome a hostage crisis, you've got to go back to square one. It's time to bring out the sacred vault with the sacred document. Here we go, you ready? The sacred vault, and now the sacred document. Employee handbook. That's a heavy vault. The employee handbook has everything you need to operate your department. Not only that, this employee handbook is not just for hourly employees. As executive housekeeper, I have to follow the rules and guidelines in this. I have to obey the employee handbook. This is the contract, so to speak, even though you're in a right to work state, you're not union, which I would never work at a union property. Everybody has to obey this document. Even the general manager, when they employ a general manager, goes through all of the human resources requirements that I do as an executive housekeeper that hourly employees do. They all sign for this. These are the rules for everybody. I have to obey them too. I'm just an employee. I'm an executive housekeeper. I have a different role, but I'm an employee. That's why I don't have to put up with this crap from hourly employees who are going to run me and, more importantly, run the department. All right, so remember, if you're going to change a hostage crisis, they want fair. So you can't crack down in your department if the front desk is not cracking down. You can't crack down in your department if the the golf course attendants aren't cracking down. If the front desk isn't cracking down. If food and beverage up on the second floor in the restaurants, if they're not paying attention to this and walking after these guidelines in a strict manner, methodical, correct, appropriate, strict manner, you're going to have a hard time. Why? Why are you writing me up? Frank at the front desk, he's late twice a week and they never say anything to him. He never gets written up. That's not fair. Oh, trust me, they'll go to other departments to police you, to hold you hostage. So here's one of the first things you have to do. You have to get with your general manager and explain this to them. Do you realize they don't know how to do it? Why? They've never been a director of housekeeping. They're not affected by the hostage crisis immediately like you are. You've got to stand there in the morning meeting and say, 2 people called off today. Our standard is 13 rooms. Everybody will be doing 15, and I'm holding 5 rooms. So if somebody finishes early, I have rooms to give them. They don't have to face that, but you have to educate them. Here's what needs to happen. Here's the best thing. The general manager, the director of human resources, the front office manager, the food and beverage manager, the golf course and entertainment aspects of your hotel or resort, they have to be on board. We have to property-wide have meetings with our department. We have to reissue this employee handbook. We have to have them sign for it again. If you have problems and issues in your departments that are not covered in the employee handbook, then revise it. Each department needs to sit down and say, let's take attendance. Sit down and say, look, we've gotten behind on attendance and we've got to straighten this out. We are going to do it. Part of the problem is us. All of the hostage crises that you will ever face have begun, have been propitiated and moved forward in perpetuity by management. It's because management will not manage. And what do they manage? The guidelines. They do not hold people to this this set of guidelines, this set of procedures. They let people get away with things for so long, they're embarrassed themselves. This is what most people don't realize. They're embarrassed themselves. And so for them to say something about it, they have to admit in front of everybody, we didn't hold you to this, but now we have to. And they don't want to look bad. And that's like the white elephant in the room. I don't care. I don't mind being found wrong so I can get right. Here's what I don't want. I don't want to be acting like I'm right when actually I'm wrong. Every department needs to have a departmental meeting, sit everybody down in every department, say from now on we're going back to this, we're reissuing it. We all got off track, even the managers are off track. We've got to straighten this out. Now you've got fair taken care of. Now after that, doesn't matter if front desk doesn't do anything, doesn't matter if food and beverage doesn't follow through. What matters is that you follow through. But you now have the optics in place. Now it is seen that the word has gone out property-wide. That's one thing. Now the other thing, of course, is you have to follow through on that. And from that day forward in your department, you don't care about anybody else. They're supposed to take care of their own. You're going to track everybody's attendance. You're going to track their uniform. You're going to track their performance. You're going to make sure everybody's in line with those guidelines. And the second that they're not, without any discrimination, you are going to hold them accountable, give them verbal warnings or written warnings or whatever you need to do, whatever your program is, right? You can't go on with somebody calling off 3 times in a month and not say anything about it, not document something. If you end up with a hostage crisis, it's your fault and nobody can help you. First, we re-release or re-establish the employee handbook. Second, we start following up on that stuff relentlessly, without question. We don't miss a single instance. You may give somebody 5 verbal warnings. We've got all these myths in our head about 1 verbal, 1 written, 2nd written, 3rd written, then on a 4th occurrence, we can terminate. No, you can document every single conversation you have. Document it. Have them sign off on it. Put it in their bin. There's nothing that says that you have to terminate after 3 written warnings, but I guarantee you, you want your documentation there, so if you have to terminate somebody, you don't have to start from scratch. Start from scratch. You've let them get away with bloody murder, and now you're going to crack down. Now you got to start all over with verbals and with writtens and then termination. And it takes so much energy. It makes people mad. They go into the department. They poison the department. They write me up. That ain't fair. And then this one complains because that one was done wrong. Before you know it, what have you got? You got a hostage crisis. So you're going to have a no muscle. You're going to have to say, look, the agreement never changed. What's the agreement? When you came to this employment, to this property, you said, if you will employ me, I will do the work that you have to do if you will pay me. That agreement never changed. But somehow after people have been there 6 months, 9 months, I mean, some of them start quick. They'll say, well, I've been here for 2 years or a year, and I have Fridays and Saturdays off. Here's another thing that starts a hostage crisis. The manager before you said, okay, you've been here for 3 years, you can have Fridays and Saturdays off. And then you get there and you go, no, we're always short-staffed because of these agreements. No, all agreements are off. Here's the employee handbook. Nowhere in here it says anybody gets set days off, and we're doing that program now. But you're afraid to do it because you'll have this big backlash. You'll lose people. So you have a hostage crisis because the managers before you allowed a hostage crisis. So you've got to fix it. You don't have a choice, or it's going to be a living hell from that first day that you take over that department on into the end. You've got to follow through. Now, the deal never changed. Nobody ever said, okay, if you'll do the work we have for you, we'll pay you if you'll do the work we have for you. Never once did we say, after you've been here for 2 years, you can tell us what your schedule will be. You can tell us what supervisors need to do for you so you can finish your rooms. You can call off, 3 times a month, be late an hour once a week. You can cause problems with poison and gossip and stuff in the department. You can do all that after you've been here a while and you're comfortable. We never made that agreement and never turned into that agreement, but they'll turn it into that agreement if you just let them. It's your fault if you have a hostage crisis. Even if it was caused by managers behind you and above you, you can fix a hostage crisis. I sat a lot of people down and I said, look, do you like working here? Yeah. Do we feed you in the employee cafeteria every day? Yeah. Do you find the environment is safe and we provide you with the tools? Yeah. Oh, how many children do you have? Oh, 3 children? You know what? I got 2 kids myself. They're all grown, but I know what it's like. It's hard getting up in the morning, right? Coming to work. But thank God there's a job here for you because you're just like me. You're paying your rent. You're feeding your babies. Yeah. We're proud to have you. We like having you. And it's a pleasure working with you. Then I ask them this hardball question. So do you like your job? And they go, yeah. Then I ask them, do you want to keep your job? They, yeah. And then I straighten them out. I say the deal never changed, and here's the deal. You come here, we give you appropriate work to do for the money that we pay you. We decide what that work is, we decide when it will be done. Do you understand that? Because if you don't, you will not be able to keep your job. And you've just told me you want to keep it. I play very straight, very conscious, very sober-minded hardball. I don't dink around. Let me give you a little secret. A lot of people, when they go to terminate somebody, the termination gets blown out of the water and they don't end up walking out of that meeting with that employee with a termination in their hand. Why? They get scared. The person starts to cry. Human resources doesn't want to lose employee. It makes the human resources department looks bad to have staffing levels fall low. So they go, well, we'll give you one more chance. And then you walk away going, I've been putting up with this crap for 9 months from this person causing problems in the department. Now I got to give them one more chance. It just denigrates your office. It denigrates the property. It denigrates the rules and guidelines we all, including managers, have to walk after in the employee handbook. You play hardball. You shoot straight. You don't mince words. When you deal with employees, you tell them how it's going to be. And I tell an employee for a termination, the second they sit in that chair, I turn to them and I say, well, here's how it goes. The resort, not me, it's never personal, it's the hotel. The hotel has reached the difficult but permanent decision to terminate your employment. Prior to that statement, I don't ask any questions. I don't ask any favors. I don't ask for explanations. I sit them down and I terminate them. And from that moment on, everything that they say is as a former employee. It's too late for explanations. Your actions have brought you to your termination. The resort didn't terminate you. The general manager, the HR director, the food and beverage director, the front desk manager, the executive housekeeper did not terminate you. Your actions, or the lack of actions thereof, have terminated you from your employment. We appreciate your service. Thank you. We'll be walked off the property by security. It's just that simple. Be clear and direct. Uphold your guidelines or they're worthless. Uphold your office or it's worthless. Uphold your word or it's worthless. Okay, here's how you fix your hostage crisis. Every department starts having departmental meetings and they start reviewing all of the guidelines in this book. They reissue this book and have everybody sign that they received it, just like they did the first day of their employment. We reissue this, and then that day forward, all departments start cracking down on attendance or whatever your issue is. And then it doesn't matter to you what they do. When you go in there, you crack down on this stuff and you start writing people up, you start straightening some things out. Number one cause of hostage crisis, fear you'll be short-staffed. When you're short-staffed anyway, because the hostage crisis allows them to call off, be late. So you're not losing anything. Might as well end the hostage crisis and just bite the bullet, but most people are afraid to bite the bullet. The number one cause of hostage crisis is people afraid of employees who are going to leave. Even though they're troublemakers, they're afraid to lose them. That's one. Two, the executive housekeeper sits in an office in front of a computer all day, blah, 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 blah. You can't sit in front of a computer in an office all day and expect to avoid a hostage crisis. Most of your human resources problems, listen to me very carefully, most of your human resources problems are because you don't give your people enough attention. When you do not go visit your people in the rooms and on the floors, they start what? Acting out, just like little children in your home. If you have little ones, if you don't give them attention, they start banging on stuff to get your attention. They start causing problems. Why? They want attention. That's not a bad thing. But what attention do they want? As people, you need to come in and as a manager and come in and talk to me and be my friend and we have a chat and conversation. That's not the attention they want. Listen to me very carefully. This is one of the number one causes of hostage crisis. You don't pay attention to your product. They bust their ass and then you don't ever come and look at what they do. You only show up on the floors when your ass is in a sling because your general manager says, we have a lot of complaints. You better get up there and make sure this is right. And then you go up there and crack the whip and pass that negativity, pass that ass whooping down to them. Well, that's not right. When you're up there looking at the product every single day and you go into their rooms while they're working, while you're looking at the product, you keep an eye on the product, you're gonna flow with these people. You have to inspect what you expect, and they only respect what you inspect. That means you have to inspect attendance, you have to inspect uniform, you have to inspect quality of service, quality control. Now, when you get new employees come in, you let them know. We have had employees that wanted to hold us hostage and tell us how things are going to be. They're no longer with the department, and that's why you're getting a job. So just head up, word to the wise. You need to pay attention and produce a product with us and be a part of the team, follow all the rules and guidelines, or you will not work here. I don't know how many times I've said to people, you can show up late, you can call off, you can take a 1-week vacation and then not show up 3 days after you're supposed to be back and keep your job. But you can't do that here in this department. Oh, you can do it, but you can't do it here. And you better be strong. You better have a big no muscle when it comes to the procedures and guidelines of your department. No, you cannot do that here. One time I had an employee, she had been there 6 years, right? Bernice was her name. She showed up every day, gorgeous, beautiful, immaculate, put flowers in her hair, pressed uniform, on time, bulletproof, and turned a product that never received criticism, never had a complaint. She took a 2-week vacation. She applied for it. We granted it. She didn't show 3 days beyond that 2 weeks. She was a no-show for 3 days when she was supposed to be back working. You know what I did? I terminated her for job abandonment. And you don't think that got the attention of everybody else? Oh my God, they knew how good she was. Listen, nobody is exempt. There's no golden calves. Not a single one, not a golden calf at all for any reason. You have to play hardball. They're playing hardball with you. If you want us to do this, you give us $1 more an hour. That's hardball. You have to give them equity. You have to play hardball for hardball. Here's another thing you can do. I mentioned that I solved my problem with temporary agencies. People say, well, I don't want to use a temp agency because it's so much more expensive. Whoa, 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 whoa. It's about time and a half of what you pay your people. I did the math on it. That's how I sold my general manager on it. I knew my numbers. Know your numbers. It was a few dollars more than time and a half. Now, if somebody calls off and I call somebody who's off that day to come and work, what am I paying them? Time and a half. So I can have an ongoing relationship with a temp agency, right? You only need them when you need them. If you need them, call them, because you can get 2 or 3 ladies that day. They'll come in a couple hours later than normal, but you'll get your work done, and that's important. And when these people see that, oh, they got a temp agency, it doesn't cause a problem for them when I call off. They're not holding you hostage anymore. You're still in control. And not only that, we'll replace you like that. We'll hire the temp agency people, and we'll write you up, and your actions will cause you to come to a termination. Their actions cause them to come to termination. Not you. It's never personal. Your actions or the lack of actions bring on your termination. Have good relationships with temp agencies. Use them when you have to. You can juggle and drop some hours and back off some expenses to balance your money. That's what you're paid to do, is juggle that, manage. Managers manage payroll and expenses first. That's management. Anything else is supervision. Know your numbers. You have a hostage crisis because you're afraid to say no to people. You have a hostage crisis because your department is in such chaos, you don't know where to begin because you try to fix everything at once. Just fix attendance, get attendance fixed, then fix uniforms, then fix this, then fix that. One thing at a time. Don't forget, build a bench. All these applicants that come in, you call them. If you don't hire them, call them back once a month. See where they are. You're still working? I don't have anything, but I'm keeping an eye on you because you're good. And when I do, I'm calling you. They'll come work for you. Go and watch that video that I put out on applications and interviews. And it explains how to build your bench. So you always have people on the outside that don't work there that would like to work there. Very important, build your bench. You won't be held hostage. Okay, let me give you a couple other suggestions. Here's one. This is a little symptom of a department that is a hostage crisis. Housekeepers and employees and staff, whatever, who write their name on, cleaning bottles. Wanda, Frank, they write their names on vacuum cleaners. They write their names on maids' cards. They write their names on brooms. They write their names on cleaning chemical bottles. You do not have anybody's name on any equipment. That is possessive. That is dominant. That is control of the assets. The resort and the hotel purchased these tools. Nobody owns them. Nobody has, what's the word, exclusivity with a vacuum cleaner. And then they complain. I was off for 2 days and I came back and somebody used my vacuum cleaner. Now it's broken. You do not have any names on any equipment. You take all those names off or you replace everything that's got a name. And the second somebody writes their name on something, you write them up. Why? That's possessive. That's dominant. And you don't allow that. The equipment belongs to everybody. We all respect it. We all take care of it. That's one thing. No names on equipment. Number 2, another little suggestion for you. Explain to the room attendants exactly what you expect from supervisors. Explain to supervisors exactly what you expect from room attendants and explain this in front of both of them at the same time. Departmental meeting in the morning, stand up, that sort of thing. Make sure room attendants understand what you're expecting from the supervisor. Because if you expect this or that and you do not want them doing certain things, housekeepers need to know about it. Otherwise, they may have the false expectation that those people are supposed to do it. Now, you see how that causes a problem? I think the supervisors are supposed to put this in. Nobody told me that you don't want them to. Communication is huge when it comes to dissolving or resolving or clearing up a hostage crisis. Room attendants need to understand what the laundry staff is supposed to be doing. Laundry staff is supposed to understand what you expect from housemen, what you expect from supervisors. All the different positions need to understand what you expect from certain positions. That way they're clear. A lot of hostage crisis begins because they don't know. So be a communicator. Be a very good, clear, enunciator, communicator of what's expected. And then finally, I'll go back to this. You have HR problems and you have crisis problems because you're not in the product enough. Going to the staff employees where they see you paying attention to product, adjusting things yourself, making notes, doing the work of the department. I don't mean being a housekeeper. I've been doing this for a decade and a half. I have never cleaned a room. I'm not a room attendant. I'm an employee with a different role. I manage. I don't ever do rooms, ever. And I make sure my general managers know this if they hire me. I don't do rooms. The housekeeping managers that will go in and clean rooms because somebody called off, whoo, man, the staff loves that. If they don't like you, they'll make you do rooms. They'll hold you hostage. If a room attendant calls off, another room attendant picks up their work. They'll learn quick. They'll police that themselves. They'll let other people know you need to come to work. I'm tired of doing your work. But when you just cover for them all the time with your own body and your own time and attention, hostage crisis. The most important advice I have to give you is you be up there paying attention to product, talking to people, not about people, but about product. Talk about the product, be in the product, pay attention to the product, measure the product. Hostage crisis is a sure sign they've taken over. Why? You're not on the floors in charge of the product. People have problems back and forth. He said, she said, da-da-da-da-da-da. Why? Because you're not up there on the floors and they get into all this stuff and you're not anywhere around. I guarantee you, when you're on the floors, they're where they need to be, with their mouth closed, paying attention to what? Product. All of this hostage crisis comes down to the manager that you are, previous management before you, it comes down to management. So they have to be corrected, which means you have to correct yourself if your department's out of control. You have to correct yourself and you have to be seen correcting yourself. I've let this go. All right, everybody got a free pass until now. Starting today, we got a brand new thing. Guess what? Hostage crisis is over. We're not doing this nonsense anymore.
The hotel and hospitality industry is a type of entertainment and a form of show business. Thanks for visiting the Executive Housekeeper 101 with Abel Josephson from housekeepingrehab.com.